Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday for September. Today's webinar is WorkKeys Assessments for NRS and Career Readiness. I am Christine Nieto and I am your host for today. I am the Florida Account Executive for ACT's Workforce Solutions. Before we get started, if you have a question, please type it into the Q&A option on the Zoom platform. Reminder, all attendee microphones will be muted. You will be in listen-only mode. And today's presentation is being recorded. It will be archived and available on the IPDAY website within 48 hours. So I'd like to dive right in and discover how ACT WorkKeys Assessments can significantly enhance your adult learner's journey. What I hope to be able to share with you today is a bit about ACT as a company and provide an overview of WorkKeys. I plan to introduce the ACT National Career Readiness Certificate, which is simply a combination of WorkKeys tests. I will cover some research related to adult education and NRS, share some best practices, and finally point you in the right direction for our free resources, including training modules for future implementations. First off, ACT was founded 65 years ago as a mission-driven nonprofit organization. The founder, Franklin Lindquist, was actually a pioneer in the educational assessment industry, having helped develop a number of standardized assessments, notably, of course, the ACT, but also the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. And as rumor has it, he was instrumental in the early development of the GED before World War II. He developed the ACT as an alternative to the SAT to test practical knowledge rather than cognitive reasoning. WorkKeys came into existence in the 1990s, well after Lindquist, but was developed using the same overarching principles of measuring practical knowledge, but in the form of career readiness, offering employers and job seekers and students a current indication of job skills. And as such, over the years, ACT has become a trusted leader in the college and career readiness space and serves millions of students each year around the world through our partnerships with schools, government agencies, employers, training programs, and the like. ACT's continuum of resources begins actually in middle school and takes us through college and career. ACT's mission is to help people achieve education and workplace success, and we do that by providing useful data and information to ensure students are set up for success as they transition to the next phase, whether it is direct to college, direct to career, apprenticeship program, work-based learning program, or any alternative pathway. This graphic shows the continuum of ACT's educational resources that help students transition from middle school to high school to college and career. So now let's dive right into WorkKeys. WorkKeys assessments were developed to measure foundational work skills that are essential to career success. They're relevant across all industries and all occupations. Over 30 years of research, including over 22,000 job profiles, have been conducted over the years, making this a versatile, reputable, valid instrument for career readiness initiatives, especially in programs like CTE, IET, work-based learning, and many more, because it uniquely combines education and workforce. We will now dig a little deeper into the WorkKeys ecosystem, which has evolved over the years to be a true skills-based career navigation system. The WorkKeys ecosystem is comprised of 4 critical components, each designed to work together and complement each other to maximize benefits for all stakeholders. How we develop skills and build up skills for our adult learners and career readiness skills is a key tenet of the WorkKeys ecosystem. How do we assess where they are today and identify their strengths or gaps? How do we provide evidence for their skills? And finally, how do we help empower people to understand their skills, to be able to speak about their skills? If there are gaps, how do we hone in and help them work on improving those skills for increased opportunities that ultimately will further their education and employment goals? Let's start with the WorkKeys assessments, since these are the cornerstone of the WorkKeys ecosystem. As previously mentioned, the assessments measure foundational skills required for success in the workplace. 3 core assessments shown here are what is needed to earn the National Career Readiness Certificate, which is tangible evidence of skills, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Some of the unique qualities of WorkKeys is that they are application-based, requiring learners to apply educational concepts to work scenarios. Additionally, these 3 exams were purposely selected for the National Career Readiness Certificate because these skills are required in 99% of the jobs, meaning all jobs will require competency in applying mathematical principles to solve a problem, or interpreting graphical information from charts and graphs, schematics, and blueprints to make decisions, and understanding reading material in the workplace, such as employee handbooks, emails or memos, safety signs, etc. The distinction is the level of competency needed for various occupations. They vary, and WorkKeys can tell us this because each assessment offers various levels of difficulty as the levels build on each other as the exam progresses. This is why WorkKeys as a foundational career readiness measurement can be used as a career navigation tool because of its application across all industries and all occupations. So these 3 tests taken together can earn that National Career Readiness Certificate, which I will talk about in a minute. But before we do, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other WorkKeys assessments that fall under the umbrella of the WorkKeys brand name. These assessments are not a component of the National Career Readiness Certificate, but can be useful tools in certain programs. For example, manufacturing companies or related training programs might find it useful to assess someone's proficiency around mechanics or fluid dynamics, electrical principles. Similarly, many logistics and manufacturing companies have a lot of processes and procedures, which may be very important to maintain a safe work environment. And assessing someone's skills in observing and following instructions, understanding and evaluating processes might be very critical for certain roles. Or being able to write to a prompt to demonstrate your ability to write cohesively and concisely might be a really important skill in other kinds of jobs. Measuring soft skills around work ethic, leadership, creativity might be important to get a holistic perspective of a potential employee or a student. So these are additional assessments that are under the WorkKeys umbrella. So we're going to move on to the National Career Readiness Certificate. One of the greatest benefits of the WorkKeys assessments is the unique feature by taking those 3 exams, somebody has the potential to earn a tangible, nationally recognized portable credential. It is recognized by over 28,000 employers across the country. It could set students apart from others in a competitive job market. It may set them up for success in future training and employment opportunities. It certainly can help build their confidence and bolster their resume and applications. This certificate can be earned at one of 4 levels, ranging from a bronze to a silver, a gold, and a platinum. This depends on the score they earn on each of the assessments, and I will go into that in just a moment. But first, when somebody earns the National Career Readiness Certificate, they not only earn a certificate that is a hard copy, that's a beautiful certificate, can be celebrated with pride, but it is also offered digitally through our partnership with Credly. This is an exciting advancement of the NCRC for the National Career Readiness Certificate, as it allows learners to connect to online platforms like LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter, which are linked to jobs. It helps them better understand what skills they have and provides them a way to build their digital backpack by collecting and sharing their achievements. On the side of the screen, you will notice the different digital badges and certificate distinctions that one can earn. So this is the silver and the bronze, the platinum and the gold. And this is where we can unpack that level of competency that someone has and relate it directly to the skills needed in certain occupations. The example I used earlier, in which some occupations require different levels of reading and math, because not all jobs are equal. This is the beauty that this one test has, and this one certificate allows someone to match their current skills to jobs and determine if they were ready or if there are gaps. And we do this through a process of occupational profiling that matches WorkKeys scores with jobs. ACT's industrial organizational psychologists have been doing this work for over 30 years. We have the largest occupational database connected directly to ONET. There are 22,000 jobs listed in this database, as I mentioned earlier, and we provide this free of charge as a value add in using the WorkKeys system. A link to this free resource is accessed by using the QR code in the upper right-hand corner or by going to jobprofiles.act.org. What you see on the screen is a quick example of how the levels align with the occupations. For example, someone who earns a bronze certificate has a score of 3 on each of those assessments, the applied math, workplace documents, and graphic literacy. This bronze level is associated with someone having the foundational readiness skills to enter an occupational training program for things like auto body tech or CDL, welding, maybe a pharmacy aide. There are about 5,000 jobs in that database across all industry sectors that align with the bronze level. A silver level is a score of 4 or higher on each of those assessments and provides evidence that someone is ready for the rigors of, say, a robotics program or CNC or a medical assistant training, just to name a few. There are about 16,000 of these occupations that require a skill level of a 4. So you can see the difference there from a 3 to a 4. A gold level is a score of 5 or higher and demonstrates a more advanced skill set. Someone earning this distinction might have the confidence that they can handle the levels of rigor associated with most post-secondary degree programs, such as maybe a computer programmer or a web developer. These are just a few. This database, jobprofiles.act.org, has many more, and I'm going to delve into that in a little bit. Finally, a platinum level is a 6 or higher. This is a very difficult distinction to earn. About 5% of the country has earned this distinction nationwide. It demonstrates someone has the cognitive ability to pursue almost any field that they want. I'd like to take just a brief moment to provide some sample items before we move on to the NRS and adult education portion of today's presentation. Multiple items can be found on our website. I encourage you to take a peek at additional item types. I'm going to share 3 with you now. They're all level 4 for each of the subject areas. This is a level 4 applied math. Here, examinees are provided with a sales call scenario and asked to compute the average number of calls. This type of item requires multiple mathematical operations. They have to know how to add the 5 numbers together, divide by the total number of days. This requires multiple operations, a fairly simple calculation of averaging, but contextually based. In this level 4 workplace document example, the examinee needs to sort through this lengthy memo to find important details to answer the question about the condition of project success, which explicitly asks for other than delivery time. They need to read this entire passage. They need to look specifically for what constitutes a successful order. This requires them to apply information to a situation to make a decision after they identify those specific details. And in this level 4 graphic literacy example, examinees are shown a dry cleaning slip with abbreviations and categories. Based on how this dry cleaning slip was filled out, the examinee is asked to identify how a customer wants their shirt to be treated. They have to use deductive reasoning, critical thinking. They have to understand the abbreviations and the various categories to answer this question. So again, I just am sharing a sampling of some item types so that you can contextualize the WorkKeys test items and see how reading, math, and graphic literacy items are represented. I encourage you to visit our website, act.org, to explore more item types. We have a variety of item types that represent all the different levels, from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, in each of the subtests. So now that you know a lot more about ACT WorkKeys and the National Career Readiness Certificate, let's dive into the NRS approval that came out in the Federal Register in 2023. ACT approved 2 of the WorkKeys tests as an option to measure educational functional levels and measurable skill gains. The 2 assessments that were approved were Applied Math, which covers all EFL levels 1 through 6, and Workplace Documents, which covers levels 2 through 6. And just like with the other providers, there are specific forms and specific state and federal guidelines that you must follow when using these assessments. And so we always defer to your state guidance for specific requirements, including the number of hours in between pre and post testing. And of course, the value add here is that by adding the graphic literacy assessment at some point for that student, they have that potential to earn this National Career Readiness Certificate that could set them apart, but that has many other tangible benefits. This schematic shows how the pre and post test system are set up. We often get asked about a placement test or a locator or an appraisal. Simply put, this particular appraisal test is eliminated from our system. Since WorkKeys covers a wide range of skills on a single test form, there is no reason to pre-select any test levels. That will be determined as the student progresses through the test. They will earn one of those scores, a 3, 4, 5, or 6. It is actually a very simple system to use. The system will auto-generate a test form for the pre-test. If post-testing occurs within 30 days, the system will automatically assign an alternate post-test to measure that gain. If testing occurs outside the 30 days, the program will allow you to manually select an alternate form. It is that simple. This chart shows how the score levels align with both scale score and EFL levels. So you can see in the top half, the Workplace Documents chart. The middle column shows the WorkKey scores 3 through 7, the associated scale score on the left, and you can see the NRS benchmarks in EFL levels on the right. The bottom half shows the math chart, same information, and I'll give you a moment to look at this. I'm going to move on to the second half of our agenda today, which highlights research and promising practices in adult education. To help provide evidence for the NRS approval, an alignment of the items to the college and career readiness standards for adult education needed to be conducted. This was performed in 2020 by an independent panel of reviewers with expertise in adult education. This alignment helped determine those EFL levels and also provided a clear appendix showing the standards alignment, which can be an useful instructional tool. And a link to this document can be found using the QR code. Additional efficacy of WorkKeys is in the American College on Education's recommendation for credit for prior learning for certificate holders. A link to this recommendation can be found at the QR code here, and I'm going to talk more about this in a minute. Finally, ACT houses a repository of case studies and research that has been conducted over the last 30 years. At our core, we are a research organization, and we make this information publicly available. You can find a link to those resources, link to those case studies at the QR code found here. So just want to dive a little bit into the recommendation on from the American Council on Education. The American Council on Education is a national association of 2- and 4-year public universities and private. They coordinate advocacy and research, but they also are part of an evaluative process to help students receive college credit through things like military service or workplace training opportunities, apprenticeships, and even standardized exams. So the National Career Readiness Certificate has this ACE credit recommendation. This was a very rigorous process, and they do reevaluate this every few years to keep the list current, and we've been on it for a number of years. The ACE credit recommendation is associated, the silver level is associated with 1 credit hour of college level competency for information literacy and technical math. A gold level is associated with 2 credit hours in these subjects, and a platinum is associated with 3 credit hours. And what's really great about this recommendation is that the benefit that this brings to both colleges and students. And it helps colleges boost enrollments and bolster their community partnerships with their high schools, but ultimately help save students time and money. It's proven in research that helps speed up academic progress towards a degree or certificate. I mean, we know this is especially useful because we still know there are a lot of working adults who never completed a degree. So having something like this to help accelerate or push them into credit-bearing courses helps save them time or money and ultimately obtaining future degrees and certifications. We also know that the National Career Readiness Certificate is a predictor of success. Some highlights from this slide simply include students earning a silver or higher were 3 times more likely to go on and earn their high school equivalency. Students achieving high scores on WorkKeys were more likely to go on and achieve higher GPAs in their first year of college. Nearly 90% of the students achieving a 5, a gold, continued into their second year of college. So this is really compelling research that connects that National Career Readiness Certificate to their future goals of ongoing college. Finally, there has been found a correlation with high WorkKeys score with job performance ratings. One of the key elements of the WorkKeys ecosystems that includes the job profile database, which I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned that it is free to our partners. This and the certificate are probably what I think make this truly unique and make WorkKeys truly a skill-based career navigation system. This slide speaks to the development of the database, which, as I mentioned, are by our industrial organizational psychologists. They work directly with subject matter experts, employers, and employees to evaluate the skills that are necessary to perform a job well. It aligns those skills to the WorkKeys skills. This is often done directly with our employer partners who have a specific need for hiring. It may use WorkKeys as a pre-employment measure, but it's also used in CTE and IET apprenticeship programs as a way to evaluate a candidate's foundational skills and ensure they're set up for success. This is a screenshot of that occupational database. I invite each of you to take a closer look at your convenience using the QR code or the website listed on this slide. You will find the interface is easy to use with simple search features, allowing someone to type a job title or a career cluster or an ONET code, use the drop-down menu to search by your skill levels. A very, very simple interface and very handy. This example that I had typed in is an example of an automotive service technician, and you can see the direct links at the top to ONET, which provides additional information about the job and the skills, what wage and employment trends are by state and by county. And down below, you can see the WorkKeys score alignment. In the red box, you can see the median, minimum, and maximum skill levels needed for each of the exams. And below the red box, you can see other assessments listed that may be helpful for that particular occupation, like applied technology or workplace observation or business writing. So this is an effective resource to evaluate how someone's skills align with a specific occupation. You can use this as a resource as a foundational career exploration activity. Someone who wants to get into an automotive tech, but who is scoring below a 3, has a gap in those foundational skills, and we would want to spend time building up those skills to ensure that they can be successful in a subsequent automotive service technician program. It is the simplicity in this that helps illuminate for adult learners and career coaches someone's current skills alongside their career goals. The last of the 4 components to the WorkKeys ecosystem is skill building. If we know that there is a gap in foundational skills, ACT does offer the only built from the ground up online curriculum that helps adult learners bridge that gap. It is web-based, it is personalized, it is available in both English and Spanish. There are over 12 full curriculum courses available that range from all the levels 1 through 7. The 12 modules range from just the NCRC or the core assessments, the math and the reading and the graphic literacy, but also essential soft skills that are also included in this package as well. So we've covered a lot of ground so far. I do see a couple comments in the chat that I'm going to take a minute to review before we dive into the second half of this presentation. So the first question is, will the DOE be paying for this great tool like they currently do for the WIN learning product for Florida Ready for Work? And I cannot answer that question. What I will say is the WorkKeys is on the will be on the Florida list for NRS, and I believe that will be part of the Florida program. Can you also talk about additional assessments for soft skills? The additional assessments for soft skills that I addressed at the beginning of this presentation is an online assessment that takes about 10 minutes to complete and will provide digital badges of evidence around leadership, work ethic, integrity, and creativity, and two more traits that I can't recall at this moment. Hopefully that answers those 2 questions. Okay, so since we've covered a lot of ground, really want to talk through some of the variety of use cases in adult education. I'm going to highlight the ones that we see most often in our adult education partnerships, which are HSE, IET, apprenticeships, and work-based learning programs. Okay, this is a big graphic, but at its core, it is relatable. Adult learners come into our programs either with a high school diploma or without. Based on that, we will help guide them to achieving their goals. Obviously, if no high school equivalency, we put them on a track to obtain that. So depending on a student's level, they might start at ABE or ESL or ASE or HSE. We put them on that track to build up their skills for that high school equivalency. But regardless of that program or that track, oftentimes we will see these programs integrate the National Career Readiness Certificate here as a component to their program for many of the reasons stated above. If they have the high school equivalency, we might put them, in a CTE track or an IET track, which again, the NCRC, the National Career Readiness Certificate, is a perfect fit because of its direct connection to career and career pathways. And on that right-hand side, it also fits really nicely in a career readiness course with a focus on job readiness and resume preparation and job searches. Because both the high school equivalency curriculum and WorkKeys are both aligned to college and career readiness standards for adult education, and they measure similar constructs, The difference is HSE tests very academic, is tested in a very academic way, whereas WorkKeys is tested in a work-based contextualized way. So providing WorkKeys in these programs helps some learners make sense of the academic concepts that they're learning. It helps them to contextualize what they're learning and how to use it in a workplace setting. As a result, our research actually shows that students are more likely to go on and earn that HSE, like I mentioned earlier. But it builds their confidence by earning this achievement. They might find immediate employment where they might not otherwise have, while they can continue to concurrently work on their HSE. Perhaps a newly favored use case in adult education is IET. We're seeing now some pre-IET models as well. But because IET is the intersection of education and work, WorkKeys is the ideal assessment fit for this as well, especially now that it's NRS approved, because IET programs can now embed the WorkKeys assessments for those WIOA funds and have a more cohesive IET model. Where they're connecting students to direct connection to employment opportunities. And they're finding increased program completions as well. And another use case that has been around for a number of years are our longstanding partnerships with apprenticeship programs. It's really been in the last decade or so that I've seen more apprenticeship opportunities for adult learners. And I'm seeing this more at the school level. But in essence, the apprenticeship program may have done a deep dive with the curriculum analysis, looking at the skills required in year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. And aligning those to those WorkKeys skills. Oftentimes, they've worked with the ACT industrial organizational psychologists to determine what those skills needed are throughout the life of the apprenticeship program. We know that apprenticeship programs are long and they get complex as they go on, and they're expensive to run. So ensuring that a student has those necessary skills on the front end, whether they have the certification or not. The assessments can be used a la carte in this example and ensure that they have the right foundational skills where the apprenticeship program is targeted, and that really helps increase program completion rates as well. So really, in summary, WorkKeys is really a truly unique opportunity for adult learners. I mean, providing evidence of hard skills and how they apply to real life situation, building their confidence up, earning this achievement bolsters their resume, helps empower them to better understand their skills, how it aligns to opportunities and careers. I think the research speaks for itself. If we have a resource, access to a resource and a tool that can help improve completion rates of your programs, can help improve transitions into college or post-secondary opportunities, or help align into career pathways or directly into employment. Working with community college partners also to offer credit for prior learning for maybe those earners who have the National Career Readiness Certificate, really make this a win-win for adult learners matriculating into credit-bearing courses. And also the community colleges are benefiting by increasing their enrollment. And as you bolster your work-based learning programs or your IET programs, using a resource like this can really help better align the skills needed to be successful in that program. So I want to provide you with 3 additional QR codes. The first here is a link to the WorkKeys curriculum. Anybody who's interested in taking a deeper dive on this, we provide a 30-day free demo. For those who are curious about that, you can click on this QR code or contact me directly, and I'll help you get set up for that. The second is a link to a free WorkKeys practice test. This is a full-length test for each of the 3 core subjects that I've spoken about today. This will give you a really good understanding of how the test is structured, what the items are like. It truly emulates the test experience. The last link on this slide is a link to our training library that includes a plethora of on-demand videos for those who want to get a handle more on specifics around training, how it's different in the NRS world, but more to come on trainings as maybe this gets rolled out in the future. But this is a direct link to our training library. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention. My contact information is on this slide. I am your Florida account executive. You can feel free to contact me at any time with any questions or clarifications that are needed. Before I officially wrap up, I'm going to take a look at the chat one more time and see if there are any additional questions. Please feel free to ask questions. I'm not seeing anything else that that's in there. Looks like we're getting some thank yous and some, but before you close off officially, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, oops. Oh, if I didn't ask you to do the feedback survey and to please register to attend the next webinar Wednesday, which is on October 2nd. Is CASA's best practices and resources. Please sign up for that if you're interested in learning more about that, and please complete the survey. Thank you for your time today.